Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boom Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and I'm recapping our Bears victory against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. So, this is a good win. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people out here because the fans always come out when we win, but it's going to be a good conversation. Now, there's going to be people that go back and forth of why we won and all these different factors. And it'll be interesting to talk about. One thing I would like to point out right off the top is some of the good, game planning. And I know a lot of people kind of go back and forth about Matt Nagy as a play caller. Honestly, I can't tell you that I'm great at judging play callers, and people that tell you they are probably aren't really either, only because you don't know what play they call. Like they can put in 3 different plays. It could be up to the quarterback to select one. They could kill plays, all these different things. And even if, they called, you see what the play was, maybe someone didn't run it right and then people still blame the coach. All those factors I don't know about play calling. It's a little tough to judge when you don't know what the play is. However, I will say game planning is a little easier to pick out. And I would like to point out the game planning on the lines. And it was a game of inside and out. On offense, it was a game of inside, where you knew that the Rams was a penetrating defense. Even though they're technically a 3-4, they give you a lot of even front looks. With Aaron Donald and all those guys, they like to get up the field. They like to rush the passer. They are not exactly spread out, but they do get up the field into those gaps. And so one of the smart things that we did, especially early on, is that we kind of had a little bit of wider splits and we let them come up the field and then we gashed them up the middle. Now, this is kind of like a draw play, but not exactly. It's just really letting instead of trying to go man on man with the block, with Aaron Donald and Sue and those guys, we kind of just let them get upfield and just push them past the running back as the running back goes through. And you saw a lot of huge gaps that were open. I mean, even with the pulls we did, because sometimes we'll get the 33 look where they had 2-3 techniques and the linebackers are spread out. And, you got Mark Barron and them, they're not thumpers per se already, but then also they're not lined up in the middle. And so the Rams defense was just really asking you to kind of spread them out and then run up the middle. And with our formations, we already got a lot of different skill positions. So there's that. And then the fact that you kind of split the line out a little bit and then, go right where the vacated spot is. Even if you run a power play or any type of trap play, there's going to be a natural lane if these people are vacating upfield to get to the quarterback. There's going to be natural gaps, that are left. And so I think we executed that pretty well. And that was smart. Now, on the defensive side, you got some bigger guys on their line that a little more power. And so from what I could tell, they were really trying to compensate by getting to the outside really quickly, which you see with bigger linemen. And so they were trying to protect that outside. And what the Bears did, and we do this a lot before, but I think today, like Khalil Mack and everybody intentionally attacked inside. Like almost all the time, whether it was a stunt or a game or just a straight up rush, it was like a stutter step outside and then crash inside. And of course, we do a lot of our loops and stunts inside. And so we were really looking to get the inside leverage on the lineman. Now, the problem with that is the quarterback could escape the pocket, but it's Jared Goff. So it's not one that's like really going to threaten you with his legs. And so I think it was smart for the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. I don't know why I said that, but it was smart for Vic to say, okay, let's attack the inside shoulders of these linemen. If they're going to give us the inside, let's take it and take the quick pressure in Jared's face. And Goff, to the Bears' credit, he did not respond well. Now, there's going to be some people that talk about Jared Goff in the cold weather being the California boy. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you definitively that wasn't the reason. What I will say is that I've seen enough professional quarterbacks from different areas of the world go into different, climates and do well. So, you know, he's been playing 3 years? It's not enough time for us to really truly say he can't play in cold weather. I can't even say the cold weather affected him. All I know is that on the field, there was a lot of pressure in his face because the line was really, they had their bust too, and they really didn't block as well as they usually do. But then there's also the scheme part of it where we just were in his face. And then on top of that, it's going to be hard for me to listen to somebody that won't get a secondary credit. I mean, you watch this game and you tell me that there was not a bunch of coverage pressure and coverage sacks. Even the last sack. And they slowed it down to show you Roquan Smith, taking away that pass. And then, of course, Goff got sacked. But then you talk about the safety. You talk about all these plays. There wasn't no quick flash pressure. These were, coverage pressures and coverage sacks where, you have these two corners. You got Eddie Jackson, you got Amos, and you got these linebackers. They are giving teams fits. I mean, and honestly, if we did have that other guy, like Leonard Floyd tries hard and all that, but he's honestly just not a pass rusher, like a straight up pass rusher. If we did have another guy opposite Leonard or Khalil Mack, I just could only imagine what we would look like, because when Khalil Mack is not on, this secondary has still given the defense time to make these pressures. And so, with the team that isn't really built of pass rushers still getting pressure, that tells you how good that we're working in our coverage. And part of it is scheme and, you know, scheming people up. But I think a big part of it is Khalil Mack. I mean, even if he's not always going to be there every single play, it changes the game plan. It changes the way people, approach the Bears. It changes the type of routes they want to run, the concepts they want to run, the tempo they want to run when they feel like, okay, can we get this off without Khalil Mack ruining the play? And so that's the way they game plan in general. Now, you might have one play call here or there if they see Khalil Mack's not in, but in general, their game plan is different. And so when you got the Rams that do a lot of crossing routes, do a lot of vertical stuff, they might come into this game like, okay, yeah, the numbers are there, but, you know, coaches are smarter than that. They know we're not a great pass rushing team by skill, but they do know Khalil Mack is great. And so they might have tempered back some of the things they wanted to do to attack us. And so that's what is allowing Kyle Fuller and Prince Amukamara to really just clamp down on people. You see most of these interceptions Fuller gets is when he's off and he's watching the quarterback. He's not playing man coverage. He's watching the quarterback, and these quarterbacks make young quarterback mistakes, and he drives on and makes good plays. But the reason he's able to do that is because the type of routes that the teams are running against him, A, and then B, the type of coverage we're allowed to play because of Khalil Mack. And so I think even, and I had this debate earlier this week about people overpraising Khalil Mack, which I do think people do, but I'm still about to say this. I think even when Khalil Mack's not pressuring the quarterback on the field, he's still affecting the game and how our defense is able to play. And he's an elite player. Look, I would still take Aaron Donald in a debate by a very razor thin margin, but still, those both were elite players. I'm happy we got Khalil Mack. I'm not going to be mad about that. He changes the game plan. And so, yeah, I just think the schemes was a big thing in this game. So overall, what we have a defensive battle going on where both offenses weren't really clicking. And then kind of like we seen a few weeks ago where the defense puts the offense in position. Couple times the offense didn't get it done. And, you know, times where you could have got touchdowns, you settle for field goals, and times where we didn't make our field goals. So those are still things that have to be cleaned up. But this game is about the offense doing just enough to survive while the defense is playing, you know, pretty miraculous. So it's a tough formula. Now, the thing that helps is that we had a good run game. Now, part of that is scheme. Part of that is an intentional effort to get Jordan Howard going. But, that is something that helps because that controls the clock. But still, when you have the opportunity to capitalize, that's what good teams do. Whether it was the other team, like, Trubisky or Goff, throwing the ball right to you, it doesn't matter that it was an easy gift. You have to take advantage of it. Yeah, you make the interception. It's like, okay, he threw it to you. But guess what? If you dropped it, that's a colossal mistake. So the good teams capitalize on what they're given. And so when you're given those opportunities, I want to see the offense capitalize a little more, but they did what they had to do for us to win. So that's kind of the game we had, really. But going to the defensive side, kind of focusing in, again, I said we had a relentless effort to get in Goff's face. And I think that line was kind of exposed. I like Rob Havenstein coming out of Wisconsin. I wondered if he could be a tackle. Right tackle I felt like was the fit. And hey, he's been having a good career, but he's never going to be able to handle true speed. And then you got Whitworth, who is really good, but he's, up there in age. And so I was wondering how this team kind of moved along as good as they did without no one exposing them through pass rush. And it's that typical thing where a team that puts up points and gets vertical on you, they tend to have you back off a little bit. And some teams want to play coverage because they get destroyed and shredded when they blitz. And so that's how some teams attack the Rams. And then on top of that, you got Todd Gurley, who sets up a great running game, and then they're able to do things off of that. Now, number one key besides exposing the slowness of the tackles is also stopping the run. And you see a lot. I don't know how much you watch the Rams. I watch the Rams quite a bit because they're on prime time. And they really do this tight inside zone type run. That's the bread and butter with Todd Gurley, where he gets leaning towards one way or zoning towards one way. And most of his runs is on big cutbacks. He'll cut back and then turn on the jets. One thing that I saw is that instead of just kind of riding the wave and being patient until he comes to you, we, first of all, we had the cutback lane secured, but then the safety to the play side where the zone was going, he would punch, or, what we call, he would punch instead of sitting back and waiting to catch Todd Gurley or, any of that. He flew, or the nickel, whoever was on that side, they would fly and punch, that, gap and force, either a tackle for loss or Todd Gurley to cut back into the rest of the defense. So just being defensively sound. And as funny as that sounds, and you like their NFL team, of course they're defensively sound. Not a lot of teams are. Some teams are undisciplined. And you talking about when we were with Mel Tucker, I used to complain all the time about how guys were in the same gap, and we just no gap integrity. In defense, you're all assigned a gap. You got weak side A, play side A, B, C, all that. You got cutback. You have to know these things, and good defenses just do the small things well. And so when Todd Gurley exposes all these other defenses on those type of runs, we played pretty decently. Now that then takes away the play action, which again was kind of the same thing we talked about before with a couple offenses that we faced. It starts with stopping the run. As much as people talk crap about the run in the NFL, that's what it starts with. And so I think we just did a really good job there. And I think the secondary is just playing incredible. I mean, again, we're not the Denver Broncos lining up just two mans, no safety, and locking people down and blitzing people. That's not what we're doing. But we are able to squat on a lot of stuff. We're able to be physical and force quarterbacks to make very contested throws instead of letting people run wide open. So I just thought we did a great job in the secondary. So it's the Rams. They're monsters, and we hold them under 10 points. Come on, I got to give the defense A+. Offensively, again, getting the running game going with Jordan Howard was good. I'm not even going to talk about Trubisky. I'm going to let the comments do it. Between what people said about Chase and what people said about Trubisky and then Trubisky's performance tonight, I'm going to let the comments talk about it. But, I want to focus James Daniels. Funny enough, cause down here, I moved from Chicago, this year, And so down here, I don't get ESPN 1000 anymore. I used to be an avid listener, but sometimes I'll be driving around and it'll pop in on my radio for some reason. And one time I randomly popped in, it was, Carmen and Yurko, and Yurko was talking about how bad he thinks James Daniels is and our other tackle or our other guard. And he was just saying how he's about to get beat like a drum by Aaron Donald and this and that. And I've admitted before that, I think James has had struggles that I didn't anticipate, but overall I still think he's a really, really good prospect for a rookie and will be a better center. But I agree, he's had some struggles, especially in pass protection. But I didn't think he was as bad as was being described by Yurko. So that was interesting to see Daniels come out here and perform the way he did. And again, Aaron Donald's probably the best defensive player in the league. It's not like he completely shut him out, and they had double teams and chips. They did all the fun stuff, but James Daniels held his own. And he kind of got in his face a little bit and kind of did what he had to do. I think Daniels can sometimes get overextended on people, and guys that are really good with hand play will throw him off and get him leaning. But I think he stayed pretty square and, punch close with Aaron Donald. And again, he didn't like stifle him, but I think he did a much better job than anybody was giving him credit for. So again, he's a rookie. Like to play like that against Aaron Donald, I think the future's bright for him. And then, other than that, offensively, our pass protection, I'm starting to wonder about that. I still think we give Trubisky plenty of time and he's got to make faster decisions. But it's Bobby Massey and Charles Leno though. It's not like we upgraded tackles. These are the same guys that was letting Cutler get sacked. So I guess they're outplaying, expectations. So I can't complain too much, but I'm just thinking playoff time. How is that going to, play out? Because someone's going to scheme that up. Someone's going to blitz the crap out of us and try to really pressure us. I think a lot of the schemes and the misdirection and a lot of the perimeter stuff helps, because if we're doing a lot of stuff to the perimeter, they have to dedicate either the nickel or the safety or a linebacker, bump them out to the alley, which is outside of the tackle or the tight end. And so they gotta commit somebody there because they know that's where we like to run. And so if you are going to get a blitz, that look is going to come from the outside, which means they're further away. Because if they just blitz straight up through the middle, we're going to know by that alignment that they're blitzing because they don't have anyone in the alley. And so I just think that makes people tip their hand a little bit. But even still, I think there's going to be a smart enough coordinator that's going to scheme us up right and try to light us up or light Trubisky up in the playoffs. So just wondering how that's going to go and how we're going to, work with that. And Tariq Cohen, man, electrifying, but man, I wish his vision was better. He reminds me of Reggie Bush. He just darts to the outside, like just straight darts to the outside. Again, we had some inside looks that really opened up some wide open lanes and he could do what he wanted in open space. But I'm telling you, when it's time to make a decision, he always decides to go outside every single time. Or he's like running around to go back to the opposite sideline. It's a little frustrating, but the man's a playmaker. What can you really say about that? That's kind of it. I guess I have to talk about the trick play. Okay. Yeah. I guess it's cool. Yeah. It's fun to talk about. I don't know, man. I said the same thing last week and I'll say it again. Not what I would do, not something I like, but I will give Matt Nagy all the credit in the world. Not only when the game is on the line, he'll go for, or like pivotal moments, he'll go for those type of things, but he'll go for those type of things with players that aren't even offensive players or that aren't skill position players. And so, hey, that goes a long way. Look, if I'm a coach and we're blowing somebody out or we're up a decent amount, yeah, I'm going to call a play, something fun for a defensive player or for a big boy to score. But I'm not going to do that when the game is at the, crucial moment. And there's some people that are just like, that's so dumb. Of course, that's when you do it. No, that's not. No. When the game is on the line, what you do is put the ball in your best player's hands. Or if you have a play that you know is going to work. You never know a lineman is going to catch a ball over a corner. You never know that a defensive tackle is not going to fumble and run it into the end zone. So no, you won't convince me of that. I still think it's cool to do sometimes. I just don't like when he does it. But overall, the offense, I mean, again, wasn't no fireworks or nothing. And the quarterback didn't play that well. So I give the offense a C+. All right. So that's kind of it for me. I mean, I'm ready to hit a conversation. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you thought about tonight's game. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, get the convo started. And remember, stay up and bear down.